start. It's just 7:02 actually. So we'll go ahead and start our meeting. Welcome everyone, and welcome to our village board meeting. This is a regular scheduled village board meeting, and it's February 27th at 7 o'clock. I'll ask the clerk to please take the roll call.
Trustee Johnson. Here. Trustee Brennan. Trustee Vasquez.
Here.
Trustee Gillis.
Here.
Trustee Bachner.
Here.
Trustee O'Connell. We wait.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Wait.
Okay, thank you. If I can have a motion to allow Bob O'Connell to be the part of this meeting due to work obligations as telephonically.
I move to allow Bob O'Connell to participate in the board meeting since he's away for business.
Second.
Okay. You want to take a vote on that?
Trustee Johnson.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan. Trustee Vasquez.
Yes.
Trustee Gillis.
Yes.
Trustee Bachner.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome, Bob. Okay, if I can ask everyone to please stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance with us. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's see the citizens' comments. Maybe you're all here for my speech. No. Didn't think so. Okay, 2. What happened? Okie dokie. Okay. Traffic. I assume all this are for traffic. Okay. Oh boy. Okay, this might be traffic. All right, we're just gonna call from the top. Escobar. Yeah. Oh, is this what you started, Debbie? Okay.
And then someone from the village added another sheet and numbered them as they are now numbered.
I see. 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. My. All right. So yes. Okay, Debbie, if you don't let me take this. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for welcoming me back to speak before the Board of Trustees. I'm Debbie Borman. I live on Lathrop, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and the Lathrop Ashland Franklin Neighbors Group. Tonight I wanted to raise a couple issues regarding the demolition of the Lutheran Family Child Services building in our neighborhood. We understand, first off, that the demolition status and process will be taken up at the next board meeting on March 13th, 2 weeks from now, but we have some urgent inquiries that we wanted to address tonight. First of all, thank you for your email following my last appearance at the board explaining that the demolition work would not be delayed due to the ongoing labor dispute. Second, since our last inquiry about the labor dispute as being the delay, we learned that the site was replete with hazardous asbestos and that the demolition team, Anthem, ceased working because the presence of these hazardous materials, which we now have confirmed as friable asbestos, was unknown. This news was surprising in that the 534-page environmental study commissioned by the village in 2017 is quite thorough, includes photographs of every visible area containing asbestos, and includes qualified recommendations noting specifically both that it is to be expected in a building of its age, that was 1960, that additional inspection would be required to ascertain similar materials that were not easily observed. To wit, unless specifically noted, reasonably accessible suspect building materials were sampled based on visual observations. Materials and conditions which are concealed or are inaccessible may not have been discovered. The report goes on, this inspection report is not an asbestos abatement specification. additional inspection with selective demolition to identify concealed or inaccessible suspect materials may be required to prepare an asbestos design document for competitive bidding abatement contractor services. The asbestos design document will also clearly specify the regulatory requirements for the owner and abatement contractor based on the type of structure and location. So, based on the events of last week and the delays in demolition, it appears to our group that the village failed to identify or prepare a recommended asbestos design document for competitive bidding abatement contractor services prior to commencing demolition as recommended by the 2017 report. Meanwhile, we are pleased to hear that the village is now addressing the major omission affecting our health, safety, and welfare, as we learned via email on Sunday afternoon, February 26th. We do, however, have some concerns about that update. I will identify one, and then some other people from our group will be identifying some additional concerns. In the email that our group received, or some of our group received from Matt Walsh, he said that he had spoken with or obtained abatement bids from 2 firms, and that both firms he spoke to stated that the visible pipe, which you'll see in a minute, is in good undisturbed condition, that the pipe runs throughout several sections of the corner of the building, that he was advised that efforts to cover or remove that section would risk additional disruption and therefore asbestos particles being displaced. He continued that the recommendation to abate the pipe is part of the larger project and that he will continue to monitor the site for weather events and security. So we're just a little confused as to what the statement means, and at this time we first request a better understanding of the risks covering the site, the weather events, and security. In addition, our final questions are these. We would like to know the names of the individuals and firms that advise the village that the pipe encased in friable asbestos sheathing exposed to our homes over the last 3 weeks is safe and without risk. As discussed in our neighbor meeting on January 25th, Matt indicated that the site would be monitored during demolition, either by a member of the Public Works Department or a private company hired to monitor the work. We have not seen any monitoring of this work so far, indicating, in our opinion, a lack of oversight of the demolition process on the site. At this time, we respectfully request third-party professional oversight of the demolition project going forward. Third, we have requested documentation of site inspections of the hazardous materials, abatement by either the state IEPA and or the Cook County Health Department authorities multiple times. We've not received any reports of those inspections. We filed a FOIA request earlier today requesting those inspections, and we hope that that will be delivered promptly. Finally, regarding the 2017 report, the report clearly provides a copy of this report and its attachments should be maintained on site during any planned renovation or demolition work activities in the event that any additional suspect building materials are uncovered. Our question then is this report being maintained on site of the demolition? We have observed that there's no posted documentation of the report or permits on the exterior of the building or on the fencing. That's all I have. Annette Madden is going to elaborate a little bit on the condition of the property. I thank you again for your time.
All right. Thank you, Debbie. And thank you for being within 5 minutes too. I appreciate it. I just want to remind all that we've got a lot of speakers here. So, and just to be respectful for your neighbors and for the business that we have to do here, if you can just have your comments stay within 5 minutes, we'd appreciate it. Hi, Annette.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for letting me giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Annette Madden, and I would just like to provide some recent historic background on the condition of the village-owned properties at 7620, 7618, 7614, 7612 Madison, 10 Lathrop, and 11 Ashland Avenue since 2018. My concerns have included upkeep, proper maintenance, intentional blighting, and hazardous material. In July 2022, I requested the environmental study that was completed on the properties in 2017. At that time, a report was not available for 10 Lathrop or 11 Ashland. In November, we were notified that an inspection had been completed and an abatement would begin later that month. I asked about the process of asbestos removal and did some research, and there was so much information available. But all that I would hear or all that I read, the same message was clear: that there is no safe level of asbestos exposure. The professionals are to be highly trained and are to follow the state and federal laws. The CPSC suggests that the asbestos inspector employee to do the inspection should be different from the removal contractors to avoid conflict of interest. The areas should be sealed off, HEPA filter, vacuums used. Materials should be placed in clearly marked leak-tight containers. Techs should wear full respirators, coveralls, and on and on and on and on. So I happened to be home on the day that the abatement took place, which was November 18th, 2022. A covered dumpster was delivered with a swing gate door. 3 civilian vehicles were also in the lot. As I watched, I became concerned at the method being used. The 4 employees were dressed in sweatpants and sweatshirts, no masks, no gloves, no cover-ups. There were no sealed off areas and no clearly marked material being removed. Instead, they were moving black garbage bags, brown boxes, some being placed in the dumpster and some being placed in the directly into the workers' SUV. I have all this on video. I mean, I do have a life, but this really is. I have video and pictures and everything that if you ever want to see what was happening, I can show you all. So I texted Matt Walsh, who is always very available and has been more than kind and dealing with us, me. And I let him know my concerns and that it was hard to believe that this was the proper way to remove the hazardous material. So about 45 minutes later, an employee came out of the building with disposable gloves, a paper mask, and a reflective work vest on, and the other 3 employees remained dressed in their sweatpants and sweatshirt. They put into place an exhaust system that consisted of a garbage bag loosely taped to a window. And I had to print the picture because I know how this was the response to, this was their exhaust system that I have to show you all. So, I mean, in my little research, that does not look proper or following any laws.
What is it?
So the abatement took less than a full day to complete, and we repeatedly requested the Cook County inspection reports were given to us, but we never received any proof that proper abatement was completed. We were told demolition would begin February 7th, 2022. I was also home on that day and watched as the crew began working. They worked approximately 2 hours, left, returned the following day, worked a full day, and on February 9th, the crew returned for a couple hours, stopped abruptly, and had not returned. We inquired several times why the demolition has stopped, and after a couple of weeks, we were finally told demolition had halted because workers discovered hazardous material and deemed it unsafe to continue. The building has sat exposed like this since February 9th, 2022, 18 days. So again, I have to show you all because, which way is it? So here's what I look at daily, which I don't even care what I look at. It's the point of this big asbestos pipe and the asbestos tiles that are exposed in the wind and the rain and the whatever. And so then we wanted to know why that this has stopped. And after a couple of weeks, we requested the reports, inquired how this could happen, and blame was placed on the previous administration, where we were told that we would soon receive an explanation. As Debbie has discussed, we received an email on February 26th, backpedaling. So that's that. And then a separate thing, and this is really short. Last week I sat at a stakeholder meeting with John Housiel, the village consultant for over 26 years. And he was telling us what our job was as residents and how we need to make our area attractive to developers. What we should do as residents. And I found it really hard to sit there and listen to him and what he expects of us when I've been sitting across from this condition. It's like I'm not against. Oh my gosh, my mouth is so dry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's all right.
I'm not against
can wrap it
development.
up.
I'm not against. I don't want to be a thorn in your side. All I ask is that it's done properly and in the right manner. It's like I don't understand why that is so hard to do, and I feel like what we are living with and what we're dealing with is not right. It's not okay. And in that respect, I will be here. I will be the loudest voice. I will alert everyone I know until it's done properly. So it's not a threat, and I don't mean to be a jerk, but you'll never hear from me again if it's done properly. So thank you for your
Annette.
time, and I appreciate it, and I need a water.
Right. Thanks, Annette.
Thanks.
Yep. All right.
Sorry, that was long.
So no worries. Yeah. I ask everyone to stay within 5 minutes because it would just the nicest thing to do. So Renee.
Yeah,
Hi.
I promise.
Okay.
Maybe even less than 3 minutes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. As the events unfolded with the asbestos abatement, I felt compelled to speak tonight to provide all of you with a broader view of the real life impacts of asbestos, not just on the people who are directly exposed to it, but the families, the multi-generational negative impact on the families. I worry that we have over the years kind of forgotten how dangerous this stuff is. So here's my reminder. My father died from mesothelioma in March of 1988 at the age of 57. I was 21 years old. When he was diagnosed with this fatal cancer 3 years earlier, I was a freshman in college. I had a 4-year full tuition scholarship, without which my family was not going to be able to afford to send me to school. I was the first, even if he didn't get cancer, right? He was a plumber, like very modest means. I was the first to go to college out of all of my older 3 siblings. But because my dad was a sole practitioner, his illness put our family into immediate financial jeopardy. And as such, I was forced to leave school and surrender the scholarship and enter the workforce without the benefit of a college degree. About a year and a half into my father's cancer's treatment, I came down with a nasty respiratory infection with bronchitis. I suffered with this for like weeks, and then finally I gave up. I went to the doctor, and he said, Renee, because of your father's exposure to asbestos, I can never treat a respiratory illness as routine. There is a non-zero chance that as a small girl, I could have been exposed to and inhaled asbestos fibers simply by greeting my father with a hug when he came home from work. I learned that all it takes is one microscopic fiber in your lungs to make you ill. That one fiber, once it enters your lungs, cannot be expelled. It is with you forever. Fast forward 20 years. Okay, my dad is gone 20 years. I'm a 40-year-old mom with an infant and a 2-year-old baby. As many of us do when our families are young, we wanted to get some life insurance to cover the risk of paying the mortgage and making sure there's enough money for the college tuition of our children should something happen to my husband and I. And if you've ever applied for life insurance, then you know that there's a family health history that is required. And guess what? All of the top tier, first tier insurance companies declined to provide me life insurance. Me, a healthy non-smoker. Why? Because of my father's documented exposure. I was able to obtain coverage through a lower tier provider, but at a higher premium rate. Again, I find myself in an economic disadvantage, although I'm thankful to be so lucky and privileged that I can afford these premiums. But it makes me wonder about all those other families of second generation who might not. The workers who were removing the asbestos from the Lutheran Family Services building without what seemed to be proper protective gear is concerning. We know from how the events unfolded that it appears the abatement firm did not fully review the asbestos assessment report, so it seems clear the workers went into and around that building without a full understanding of all the materials that needed to be removed and the associated risks. The legions of workers that we lost in the 80s and 90s and later to asbestos exposure may have been the result of maybe we just didn't know better because we didn't know it was toxic. But we know better now. Has the village unwittingly perpetuated a grave social injustice of asbestos down to yet another generation by hiring the lower cost or easiest to obtain provider who was permitted to do the work, this important work of abatement without third-party supervision, perhaps without any supervision, which has resulted in the increased risk of exposure to all of us who live and work nearby? When we now know better, or have we just forgotten how dangerous this stuff really is? I wonder if any of those abatement workers have a little girl or boy at home who might have given them a hug when they came home that evening after working at that site. I don't think that's what anyone wants here. None of us want to be complicit in perpetuating an injustice or causing harm to others. Therefore, I hope the next time the village is faced with having to clean up a dangerous environmental site, that you will all be more careful, intentional, thoughtful, responsible, not only to those of us who live nearby, but to those who work for the companies the village entrusts to do this incredibly important work. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Okay, Kathy?
Yes.
Circus. Thank you.
My name is Kathy Corcus, and I live near the TIF district. And what I'm going to say is very similar to what my neighbors just had to say. My point is that the ball has been dropped, but it's not too late to fix it, and we can fix it. Basically, the comments have to do with the current practices of dealing with hazardous waste, and we know how important that is. Asbestos causes cancer. That's the way it is. I'm not concerned just about the neighborhood. I'm concerned about the people that they brought in. Not just the contractor that was the lowest bid, non-union contractor, but the subcontractor people and these young men coming in and working without any protective gear whatsoever. And it wasn't until someone called the village and made a point, and then they put on a little paper mask. It's not enough. Even N95 masks cannot be used for asbestos. They can't. And it's against, look at EPA, look at OSHA, look at all of it. So I guess my concern is it's not just for the neighbors that could be having some blowback from whatever might be happening, but it's the people that are working there because they're not protected. They're obviously working for someone who's paying them the cheapest wage, I'm assuming, to do what needs to be done. The next part is that my personal experience is similar to Renee's. In 1987, my father, Harold, died of asbestos-related cancer. It was caused by exposure in the 1950s when they didn't know any better. He was 55 years old when he died. Once he was diagnosed, he had 18 months to live, and in that 18 months, I made multiple trips from here back to the Pacific Northwest to see him. I was sitting next to him holding his hand when he died. I was pregnant with twins at the time. None of my children, my 3 children, have ever met their grandfather. It took over 30 years from his asbestos exposure for him to present with cancer that killed him in 18 months. So that was one story. 9 years ago, in 2014, my friend John died of mesothelioma. He was exposed when he was in the Navy, working to decommission a ship. He died in 2014 at age 54. He left behind a wife and 2 sons. His widow, I shouldn't say wife, his widow, was my college roommate, my dear girlfriend. By the time, it took 24 years for his cancer to come out, and it was so aggressive, they had him a very short time. So this is just a point to put a human face on this whole situation. There's no instance in any situation for reckless behavior when it comes to hazardous materials. A speck of asbestos, as you've heard and you can read about this, in your lungs will kill you. It just takes time. More exposure is worse, obviously. The Village of River Forest, in my opinion, and I'm not sure that anybody could disagree, owes safety to its residents, its workers, and the workers who contract and subcontract with it. The village administration, all of you here, are responsible for the projects that you oversee, morally, legally, and I think probably, possibly down the line, financially. I wouldn't be surprised if 20 plus years from now, you're going to have attorneys knocking on your door, representing whether it be any of the neighbors or the people that were working, those subcontractors that were left totally exposed, asking for money from the village. We don't know. We have to take care of our village. We have to take care of each other. We have to do all the right things. And you guys, you know what to do. You've had the report since 2017 that told you everything that was there. It just needs due diligence to do the work that we're supposed to be doing, and doing it thoughtfully and professionally and responsibly. So I would urge you to just follow the law and be open and transparent in everything you do and with your communications with the village, with the people, with everything you do for us. We appreciate the hard work. Notice that you guys run the committees, putting in all the hours. We're not, and we appreciate what you do. It's a lot. We know that. But we want to thank you, and we just want this done properly. And again, thank you for letting me speak.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much, Kathy. Any more for the Madison TIF? I think I've got all of it. Now go on to the traffic issues. Okay, so Doctor, if you could take the podium.
Thank you, Madam President. So, our President Kathy and myself, we are Rotarians, so we know each other. I am Dr. Jaime Escobar. I am a retired physician. I practice internal medicine for 42 years. And I live in this beautiful village since 1971. So I am the super senior of my block. Now, we change the subject. We're going to talk a little bit about traffic. And then I drove Harlem Avenue or North Avenue, and some time ago I was surprised that I couldn't go south on Clinton. Then when I couldn't go left from Harlem Avenue, I saw the orange and white blocks, and I thought it was something temporary, or they were fixing the streets. And then gradually it is a kind of permanent. What I want to say is that maybe it was an overlook also. We, many residents, we didn't get some specific notification that this was going to happen. And then, so it was a little bit surprise. Now, what I want to say and emphasize is that during all those years, I was a respectful citizen, that there is no left turn from 7 to 9 and from 4 to 6, so I respected that. But the other times I was able to take the left, and so, and because I live in 1423 Clinton Place. I think it is an inconvenience for the neighbors and the other friends and citizens of the area. And my suggestion would be that it should stay like before, and then because I think it was working. Now, I didn't make a good study about the increase of traffic, and so might be true that there are some drivers that they cut the corner of Harlem and North, but I didn't see significant amount of traffic. The last thing, we used to have a stop sign in Clinton and Lemoyne, but they moved that one to William. And then I was driving north, and there was a fast driver and went zoom in front of me in Des Moines. But there was one case. So that will be my suggestion and the request, that it will be better to remove the blocks and because it is true on the other hand that the streets are free to drive. But I understand if there is increased traffic and it could be very justified, some changes could be done, but not at the level of the blocks and so on. So I prepared 10 pages study, but because Kathy said 5 minutes and we have to respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, we have two Politis, so I don't know which one wants to speak first. Politis? Yeah. Oh, it's you twice?
He wants 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Man, oh, man. You guys fool me all the time.
I'm gonna set my phone timer to 5 minutes.
All right, you're the best.
Promise. And I promise I'll
All
try
right.
to get this done before the timer rings.
No worries.
Mayor Ducci and members of the board, thank you for your service to the village. Having served on numerous academic and professional committees during my career, I appreciate the sacrifices to family time that you have made. This evening, I address the community with concerns regarding the recently implemented changes to traffic flow. A longtime resident of River Forest, I resided on the 1400 block of Clinton Place for 25 years, the 1400 block of Bonnie Bray for 10 years, and the 1200 block of Ashland for the past 21 years. I believe it's fair to say I'm acquainted with the village. For 29 years, I practiced my specialty in downtown Oak Park. Like other business owners, I was attracted to the northeast region of our village because it offered two commodities in short supply on Lake Street: access and adequate street parking. In 2016, we acquired and completely re-envisioned a 1950s-era office building at the corners of Clinton Place and North Avenue. Village building officials, fire department, public works were most supportive, and I thank you for that. Residential and business neighbors alike have expressed their appreciation regarding the improvements made to the building and surrounding property. Patients were delighted at the ease of access to the parking which the new location afforded them. Unfortunately, this began to change in late November of 2022. The barriers to traffic flow erected during the past few months have resulted in significant confusion when directional services like Google Maps and Waze and ride services such as Uber and Lyft are utilized. Of most concern is that the traffic safety issues have actually deteriorated, in our opinion, around that area. Violations in traffic regulations such as U-turns on North Avenue, drivers simply ignoring the do not enter sign on Clinton Place occur multiple, and that's probably a short thing to say multiple times each day. Markedly increased traffic flow through our already precarious alleyways and a decrease in coveted street parking opportunities have resulted. While these changes were put in place to diminish cut-through traffic, I am reminded of the project undertaken to relocate the I-290 merge referred to as the Hillside Strangler. It seemed to accomplish one thing, and that was to move the problem 1 mile east. In a similar fashion, increased cut-through traffic now flows down Williams, past the Montessori School, across Division, where our children cross for Willard School, and through the narrow alleyways of the Northwest region. A traffic study was commissioned by the village to, and I quote, address the primary traffic concerns within the neighborhood. The following 3 paragraphs are direct excerpts from that study. Number 1, no crashes were reported to IDOT at the following intersections during the 5-year period review: Lemoyne and Bonnie Bray, Lemoyne and Clinton. Additionally, a review of crash data indicated that there were no fatalities reported during the period. Excerpt number 2. As indicated previously, the traffic volumes along Bonnie Bray, Clinton, and Williams are within established standards for the residential roads and are consistent with the traffic volumes of other residential roadways within the village. Excerpt number 3. Before these measures are implemented, particularly the vertical deflection measures, i.e. barriers at Bonnie Bray and Clinton, a thorough evaluation will need to be conducted to examine the impact of the measures/devices, including emergency vehicle access, response times, diversion of traffic to other neighborhood roads, drainage impacts, costs, maintenance, impacts on commercial properties along North Avenue. The study then goes on to say they would likely have an adverse impact on the commercial properties along North Avenue. Indeed, they have. Ask anyone who has a business along North Avenue. 20 of the signature sheets we've provided you with 150 signatures were garnered in about 12 minutes when I walked from Cassidy Tire to the salon on the corner during my lunch break. FYI. In healthcare, we are challenged to prescribe treatment based on evidence-based research. In our courts of law, we are asked to form decisions based upon the evidence presented. The traffic study report prepared by KLOA Incorporated is dated September 21st of 2022. The village board approved the ordinances enabling the barriers to be put in place on October 10th. Oh man, really?
Yeah.
You do it now. Promise. One more paragraph. I promise. Engine Scouts honor.
You're on a roll. Go ahead.
Okay. So the village board approved the ordinances enabling the barriers to be placed on October 10th, 2022. Respectfully, I pose a question to the board. Did this short 18-day period allow, as the study recommends, for the thorough evaluation to be conducted to examine the impact of these measures? The unnecessary erection of multiple traffic barriers has resulted in the punitive effect of walling off the northeast region of our village. As a business owner and a lifetime resident of the village, I ask the board to re-examine their decision, not get rid of everything, re-examine your decision regarding the adoption of these recent ordinances. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes. Yeah. No. Please give it to us. Yes. And we'll put them in the record.
There's one that was just added on, so there's an extra loose sheet.
Yeah.
On the back.
No. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. I want to make sure Dr. Nusfora, I want to make sure I get your name correct. I should know this because we've talked so many times.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank Ms. Adusi and Mr. Loster, who showed to me how to retrieve the U2 recording of the 10-10-22 meeting, during which I call it CLOR for short. CLOR report recommendations were rejected and the suggestion of Mr. Armalas, a Bonnie Bray resident, were unanimously approved. During his talk to the board members, Mr. Armalas stressed that these measures were necessary. During the meeting, it was stated that there are 500 cars plus a day on a 20-house street, and this is a lot, and this is a problem. It is not acceptable. Actually, 500 cars a day is good. It's not bad. It would be bad on a street of a gated community where only homeowners' cars and their guests are allowed, but not on public streets. I live on Clinton, but I have the right to drive on Bonnie Bray, William, Greenfield Division, and all the other river forest streets and beyond. Mr. Armal himself wrote to me repeatedly to take William as he does, even though it will impose more traffic on William residents and decrease their safety and that of the Montessori school children. 500 cars a day correspond to one car every 3 minutes. That is a long time between cars. Try counting slowly to 180. It takes me 7 seconds to cross Clinton. Therefore, I could have safely crossed Clinton at least 20 times between cars. 500 cars a day is very good, it's not bad. And it is good not because I say it, but because the US government and Illinois government agencies say so. And they have experts, real experts. I would like someone, please, to tell me why one car every 3 minutes on a public street is terrible. I really wish someone would explain this to me. Give us the actual information you have that this is a problem. Just saying that this is a problem, it does not make it a problem. Then it was stated that speeding on Greenfield is a problem. This is a problem that can be solved with stop signs, lower speed limits, and with long street humps similar to that one on Marion Street downtown Oak Park. We could leave 20 inches on each side so that bicycle can pass through. Why shouldn't you try these measures first? They would also take care of trucks. No 8,000, 90,000 pound tractor will come again on a street with speed humps. If these measures do not work, we can always escalate to more stringent measures. But I ask to please explain why the board is so certain that these more moderate measures will not work. I didn't find an answer on that meeting. Okay, traffic on both Greenfield and Lemoyne of a car a minute over a 24-hour period was also reported as a big problem. Actually, again, this is not a big problem, not according to the US and Illinois government agencies. This street collects traffic from Clinton, William, Bonnie Bray, and other intersecting streets and move it to Harlem. By closing Greenfield and Lemoyne, the cars are not just going to disappear. They will move to a different street, probably to Division. In fact, residents of Division have already seen an increase in traffic. Higher traffic means less safety for pedestrians and children on Division Street, where there are many schools. The net gain in safety will be zero or a negative number, because Division is already a high traffic road. The ripple effect of this partial closure of these two streets have been felt as far as Franklin. Residents there are not happy, and I spoke to them. It seems that with these measures, we traded the safety of Division Street residents for the peace and quiet of Bonnie Bray residents. I do not think that this is fair, because the village is larger than Clinton and Bonnie Bray. Perhaps now it is quieter on Bonnie Bray, but it is at the expense of our residents' safety. I ask how partially closed Lemoyne and Greenfield improve the overall safety of all the residents of this village. During his talk to the board member, Mr. Asmala stated that he simply does not like the CLO report. He does not like it. He states, he admits, that it is science-based but does not like it. In fact, in an email to me, he stated, and I'm quoting, that he does not care about the CLO report or that it is consistent with what every other municipality in Coon County has done around major intersections. And these are his words. He just does not like it. Finally, at the 10-10-22 meeting, Mr. Armalas introduced himself saying, I am representative of the residents' collective traffic experience in the northeast corner. To say that this is a misrepresentation is an understatement. It is false. I never gave Mr. Armalas the permission to represent me, and neither did many of my neighbors. In fact, in October 22, I didn't even know him. At the last board meeting, Ms. Adusi said that community opinions matter. I suppose that presenting oneself as a speaker for an entire quadrant of the village carries more weight, but I would like to point out that here this evening we have the opinion of about 150 residents, about half of whom reside on Clinton or Bonnie Bray. I hope that the members of this board will give to the opinion of these 150 plus residents the same attention and the same consideration that were given to Mr. Armalas and to the 3 residents who supported him at that meeting. I understand that it is our responsibility as residents to keep ourselves informed on the village agendas, but I would like to quote again what Mr. Armalas wrote to me, that a large group of residents and the village worked hard at this for 2 years. I wonder, who are these residents beside Mr. Armalas, and why so many of us were not informed? Why the village did not inform all of us living on the streets that are going to be closed, and why the village did not ask also for our input and our collaboration. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I think I missed Kemper, Ed Kemper. I'm sorry.
So good news. We got a big group here. I have like a pretty smart 5-minute speech, but I'm in the interest of time here. I think I can just say that I am a new resident to the 1400 block of Bonnie Bray, but I'm not new to the village. 21 years and 500 block of Franklin. I had it all worked out how I'm driving like a mile further every time I leave my house. Let me just say I had broken it down into I'd like to look at environmental issues. I know I'm driving more. They're like speed bumps, curb cuts, or just signage has to be a greener decision than what we have with these barriers. For safety, everyone's driving. If anytime you got to drive your car a mile further, what's the phrase? What could possibly go wrong? I'm just like driving all over town now, so I don't feel any safer. Emergency services, someone talked about. I don't feel any safer with the barriers there, and the local businesses have spoke for themselves, so I don't really need to. But I can see how they're impacted. If you're trying to go to breakfast, you try to turn left on Greenfield, you can't do it. Try to turn left on Lemoyne, you can't do it. You're turning left on North Avenue, you're going west, and you're half a mile past the restaurant. I don't think this is good for local business, so I hope that gets discussed in the final decision. That's it. Sorry. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks, Ed. Okay, Catherine Byrne. Is Catherine?
Good afternoon or good evening. I spoke last week, so I'm not going to reiterate everything that I spoke about. I think my neighbors have done a great job of talking about the concerns that we have. I'm an attorney. I live on the 1400 block of Clinton Place. I've lived in River Forest for over 25 years. I raised my children here. My biggest concern is that the village conducted a report that cost $16,000 and that they didn't take the recommendations that were set forth in the report. And I fear that if the village were to incur some type of liability in the future, the village would be called upon to answer why they didn't follow this report that specifically said they should not have these cul-de-sacs and they should not have the right in, right out restrictions. So that's a concern for me. The other largest concern, which I talked about last time I was here, is that I did not know anything about any of this until I was coming back from the airport in an Uber, and I told the Uber to go right on Clinton Place, and there was a barricade there. And I'm like, what is this? I thought it was just, again, a temporary measure. And I'm finding out that it's going to be a permanent measure, that this ordinance has been passed. And as a resident of the neighborhood, I'm against it. And I just want to be heard. I know my neighbors want to be heard. We're concerned about the use of alleyways, the chaos that's going to occur with the Fenwick Field once the sporting starts, and the conflict that is caused just for people having a very simple way to get to Walgreens or to get to Harlem, to North Avenue. It's just, having lived there for 30 years, I've never experienced accidents or people dying or getting hit by cars. I mean, the way that it has been working has been great. And in my opinion, if it's not broke, we shouldn't fix it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Stephanie?
Hi, everybody. Quickly, Stephanie Petersmark. I'm at Greenfield and Clinton, and I echo what my neighbors have said. A couple of things I want to emphasize myself as someone who faces Greenfield. The speeding continues. The speeding continues. There may be fewer cars. I'm not sure whether there are or there not, but people are still speeding past my street.
Mm-hmm.
Stop signs and enforcement of the speed limit will fix that. It's rather simple and wouldn't cause any of this. The other thing, safety issue and liability for the village. I echo what Kate has to say. I worry that when someone does get in an accident, because I watched today in the 1 minute, I was at Dr. Novik's office, a taxi cab, head south on Clinton and go right through the barrier. This isn't stopping the people. What it's going to do is cause accidents and confusion, as other people have pointed out. This is serious. It can't take another 2 years for us to fix this. So I think you guys told us to show up at the March 15. You see, we've come here today. This is very important to us. And Mr. Amos, I don't want to be fighting with my neighbors. I don't think this has to be a personal thing. This is a safety issue, a convenience issue. I, like the man who spoke before, I leave my house multiple times a day. Sometimes within an hour, I'm in and out of my house 8 times with my little ones. I don't want to have to be driving around in circles. Took me almost 20 minutes to access Foss. I am 2 blocks south of North Avenue on Harlem. Why? Because now I've got to wait for speeding traffic on North because nobody's enforcing that speed limit. Trucks, everybody trying to rush to pass that very long light. I get stuck there. I have to wait 3 more lights before I can even turn north onto Harlem. I'm new, but this is not what I signed up for. I feel like people who want to live in a gated community need to be willing to move to a gated community, not impose upon the rest of us who don't a gated community. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. I don't know if I'm sorry if I mispronounced Iris or Alu. 1418. I'm sorry if I mispronounced. Yes, I'm sorry. Enos. Thank you. No? Okay, thank you. Okay, Dave Parker?
Thank you for your time. My name is David Parker. I live in the 1400 block of Clinton Place for over 20 years now. The study said that they were going to be looking at 2 things primarily. One was people that were cutting through the neighborhoods, and the other one was speeding. Both of those things have not been deterred by these barricades. In fact, just this morning, I had to wait while 2 cars raced across Harlem Avenue, came into my lane, and avoided the barricade. This has happened to me before. These barricades, by the way they're placed and without the signage, have made the neighborhood more dangerous. I have found myself and my family in harm's way more often in the past 4 months than in the past 20 years. We need to take another look at this and do the detailed study. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, Pete?
I think that everybody who talked before me has said everything I wanted to say, but I just wanted to say that I very much support their position, and I'm hoping that there's some way that there can be some kind of compromise come to after all of this, because what's happened now is just too punitive for us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Okay. All right. That concludes what I have up here. I will give people an opportunity if you didn't see the sign-up sheet. If anybody's out there that would like to speak, you certainly have the opportunity. If not, then I think that ends our comments. So just to address the traffic issue, I think we all said that the Traffic and Safety Commission will meet 15th, right? I want to get the date right, the 15th. And that I think that is the time I hope that we all could sit around the table and talk about solutions to the issue, whether pro or con to them. And I think the commission, I think they're volunteer folks that try their best to listen to all the residents and come up with solutions. So I ask that you all go to that meeting and come with solutions and conversations and help all of us try to find out what the right solution could be. So I encourage everybody to go to that meeting if you can. If you can't, maybe write a note to the commission as well.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So I'm not familiar with so we go to the meeting.
Yeah.
The traffic commission. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they will make a recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Then the recommendation will come to the board.
Yep.
And what is happening next?
Well, I mean, it depends on how often and where they take that conversation. They may want to meet a couple of times.
No, I understand, but how serious recommendation of the commission taken
Podium,
on board,
please.
Well-
one word, if the board says, if the commission said this is horrible, can
Yeah.
then the board say, no, this is great, or we follow the recommendation?
No, we try to follow their recommendations because, they give us their time and energy, and they're not any for any one pro or con. They try to listen to all the residents and look at the facts. Sometimes we all make mistakes. If there's a issue that wasn't thought through, we'll look through it.
I was not here when
So-
I was actually,
Okay.
I was not aware of what was going on. And I think I mentioned to you, in January, I was out of the country.
Yes.
So, but for after the commission meeting in I don't remember when it was actually. I think that it's not there any longer. So they made a recommendation to the board, and this is when in October of last year the board decided not to follow the recommendation of the CROA study. Am I correct?
Well, I have to look at all the notes, but what I think happened is that the commission, the people on the commission, reviewed the report and made the recommendation opposite.
And their recommendation was not to follow
Right.
the CROA report.
That's-
This was the recommendation of the commission.
I guess I haven't read all the notes, so I don't memorize it, but we do take the recommendations of the committee. Yeah, no worries.
I want to know exactly.
Yeah, no, I thank you for asking. Yes. Yeah, so is it going to be here?
It's right in this room.
Yeah.
7 p.m.
So
March
Jeff,
15th.
yeah.
7:30 p.m.
No, yeah, it'll be in this room. Are we offering a Zoom opportunity, or we're at? Yeah, okay. We're also offering Zoom. So if you're not in town, you want to be on the call, please. Well, you will on March 15th. Wow. All right. Well, congratulations on that. All right. Well, okay. That concludes our public comment. So I really appreciate everyone's time and energy on this. And we'll move on to elected official comments and announcements. So what we'll do is, I think, just go with the comments of the elected officials, and then we'll move on to A and B. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we'll give people. Nobody's here for my student. Yeah, we'll put that in the record.
Detail of what I said, I didn't want to repeat, but I addressed it to them. You can give it all.
Yeah. It'll be awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Matt, can you pass the?
Oh yeah, these are.
There should be a loose page to each
Yeah, the
one.
loose, doesn't the
There's a set of
page go
each.
with it?
All right, so we'll move ahead and
Goes with each, yeah, good.
should we take? So you want to go first over there?
For sure.
So if, Trustee Johnson would like to.
Okay.
Sorry, we'll
Okay.
give a little more
I'll just
time.
keep my comments brief. I do want to say, as they're leaving, I do want to thank the residents for what they said, and it is important that you speak your truth. And I think it's important to show up, and we can't get through this unless we all work together and talk together. So we appreciate you coming up and saying what you said. With regard, and then the follow up is the March 15th. And then also with regard to the issue on the asbestos, I'm sure we'll speak on that. So I'd be interested in hearing that as well. Just a general comment. As far as the DEI committee, we're now finally ramping things up. We expect to have a meeting very soon, and we're going to be working with our hired consultant, and we are hoping to, get the word out about what's going on with that. And as we move forward, we will make sure we, let everyone know and be transparent about what we're trying to accomplish. I did have the opportunity to speak at Professionals Day at Oak Park River Forest. Myself, and there was another trustee from the Village of Maywood, and we spoke about being a professional in business and as far as being a trustee, and we're happy to see there a lot of the students were interested in government and had a lot of questions. So I just found that interesting. And that's all. I'll keep it brief given the time. So
Okay, thank you. Well, it's all good. John, anything?
I'm reluctant to say much of anything because I think the crowd I wanted to talk to just left the room.
Oh, okay. Well, they could listen to our.
Recorded too, so.
Yeah, they're recorded.
I don't speak for the board, but I am a resident, so I can speak for myself. One of the things that strikes me about everyone's basically how upset they are about the traffic situation is that you're asking us to unravel about 15 months of work and multiple meetings, all of which were posted in advance with agendas, all of which had follow-up with meeting minutes on exactly what was discussed. And then at the last minute, after everything is sort of put in motion, you now have complaints. I would urge residents to add a new perspective, and that would be get involved. If you get involved, you can be a part of the decision. But coming after the fact and with some indignation, condemning a voluntary board, unpaid board, who was voted in by you, I find objectionable. So please get involved. We'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to hear them when we're making decisions so that you're involved. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Rez?
Okay, yes. Good evening, everyone. I also want to echo Trustee Johnson's comments and thanking everyone, the speakers, and for the record, who did come and speak regarding demolition and the asbestos on Madison. Of course, we take those comments seriously, and we're going to look into those as well. Regarding the individuals who came relating to the traffic issues on the northeast quadrant, and I understand the frustrations everyone has, both from for those individuals, and we understand residents are busy. They don't always look at the minutes, etc. But we do also try to advise and notify everyone. I mean, the Kathy Ducey always issues a newsletter with a lot of information on it. And again, I'm not necessarily blaming residents, but it would be helpful if people can keep abreast of some of the issues. Putting that aside, again, we will also hear those traffic study issues, but I do think the first step is going to the Traffic Study Commission. Let them hear them out. They should hear you out for all those. And there's positive or negative. We want to hear from everybody because obviously what we definitely heard was we only heard from one viewpoint, and now we're hearing from another. We like to hear from everybody. So attending that meeting would be terrific. Also, submitting, and I've been trying to advise everyone to complete the traffic study. If you can't go to the March 15 meeting, at least complete the traffic study survey. We've been putting that out for at least 2 of the newsletters, too, with a simple link to log in. So if people are listening to this, please just go back to the last 2 newsletters. It's on the front page in Kathy Ducey's main newsletter message. Click on the link, provide us your viewpoints, and it goes through a lot of the issues, not necessarily leading anybody to any particular issue, but asking about certain areas and questions and issues that that were raised by people today, as well as last week. So please fill that in, and then. The last but not least, putting us another good issue. I just want to remind everybody, if you haven't received, LRS is sending out reminders to everybody about if you're interested in any e-waste disposal, please. The due date is March the 15th. To sign up, but if you have any electrical, computer, electronic equipment, and it specifies on the card as well as on our website, the link to LRS, please submit it and submit your request so they can pick it up. And the pickup will be for the period on March 20th, 21st, 22nd, but you need to submit your request by March the 15th. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thanks, Rez. Lisa?
I don't think I have anything else to add because I think that everybody else has more than covered this evening. And I do want to reiterate that the electronics pickup was something that was added to our contract with LRS. It is free twice a year. This is specifically actually at the request of residents who I know still mourn the fact that we don't do the recycling extravaganza because that just took too much manpower. So this is a very good thing. The first one did not, get communicated as widely. It was on email, social, and website. Hence us adding the postcard. So as residents, I think I think the village is doing everything that they can to reach out to people. But I do believe that our residents also need to pick their one, either the email from Kathy, which is great, go to the website on a regular basis, or if your thing is social media, do that too. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Lisa. Erica.
Hi, everyone. So I would like to start with a land acknowledgement. As we begin, we're mindful that we hold these meetings on land that was once and still inhabited by Indigenous people, including the Ojibwa, Chippewa, Menominee, Potawatomi nations, and more. We will remember our nation's history and honor the Native people as stewards of this land that was colonized, and that River Forest continues to be a place many people from diverse backgrounds live and gather. I was fortunate enough to speak to a couple of different youths over the past few weeks. One was to the A Place for All, which is a club at Oak Park River Forest High School that centers queerness and allyship around that. So to talk to them as a public official and my experience with that, and with others in the community as well. And then also to Northwestern University students about organizing for social justice. And we are in good hands, as they say. I would like for maybe Matt or somebody from the village staff to highlight. I think we are partnering with, or we're communicating out information about, for all intents and purposes, like the club, and having
right.
those being available to folks. So would love for you just to say a little bit something about that.
Sure. So,
You mean for the cars?
yes,
Oh,
our
yeah.
police department reached out and got over 100 clubs from Hyundai to provide to residents that have a Hyundai vehicle from 2010 to 2021, something like that. So I personally was a victim of an attempted stealing of my car in the city of a Hyundai Sonata. But I've had the club for 2 months and it's been fine since. So we have those free for pickup. Just come to the village website or call our police department. Ben Ransom will set up an arrangement. You need to have an active vehicle sticker and a Hyundai vehicle from 2010 to 2011. We've had some people participate, so we hope to get those out to more people.
Thank you. As someone who owns a Kia and had that happen to me as well, I wonder if we're able to reach out to Kia, whether they're doing it or not, I don't know. But those are also being impacted.
Go ahead, Jim.
We are in talks with Kia. As you know, everyone across the United States, we were very lucky. I was lucky to finally have someone cue me into the right contact at Hyundai. We've now done the same thing at Kia, and hopefully with some additional follow-up, we'll be able to get some additional clubs or mobilizer products and offer them also to the residents for Kia also. So that is in the work. It's as you can imagine, calling Kia USA blind doesn't necessarily get you to the right place, but we're moving forward.
Okay. Great, thanks.
And we'll make sure to publicize that when that expands.
Thanks. And then in relation to the traffic and the Northeast Corridor and the Traffic and Safety Commission and the comments around the table, I absolutely do agree with what everyone has said here. I do remember what it's like to be a resident who wasn't involved, who had their own life and stuff going on. So I get not being, when you're surprised, that you're surprised. And I think a couple of the folks tonight who talked about compromise and trying to find the best solutions for everybody, I think that is, that is something where that we should be looking to do, and that we're not going to be able to see everything. And I do want to say too that at those meetings there was more than one uh, aspect. You know, there were like residents who did not see eye to eye on these things, and what we got was partially a compromise in of that. And I think if people listen to our discussion around this table and discussion at the Traffic Safety Commission, they will hear a lot of that. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Yeah, I was just saying, Bob, are you available? I'm not quite sure if you.
Oh.
Might have lost Bob.
I am still here, yes.
Oh, there
Okay.
you go.
I am not.
I'm sorry. We don't see you, so maybe you've got us.
I think he said he has nothing.
Oh, he has nothing. Okay, thank you, Bob.
Oh, there is.
Nothing? Okay, sorry. All right. Well, a couple of things. And I think we've addressed most of the issues that we heard today. And I think, Annette, just for your purposes, we will, as we did last time, we'll write up a response to some of your concerns and questions and, address some of these issues and bring it back to the board for discussion. Matt and I will work together with Lance and, come back with some, reasonable ways to address some of your requests. So, and then, of course, with the traffic, we all agree. I think it needs to go back to the Traffic Commission, have a little bit of a conversation. And as Erica and we all said, compromise is kind of the best solution if we can get there. So a couple things that just first of all, I want to congratulate our very own Matt Walsh. He got engaged this past weekend.
What? Is that true? Wow.
Very good. A lovely lady. I've met her. She's great. Congratulations.
Why are you so smiling?
Yeah, I know. I was calling him this weekend, and he did return my phone calls, and then he told me he got engaged. I'm like, I was so embarrassed. I said, why did you just tell me? Anyway, so congratulations, Matt, and we're very happy for you and your future family. So, and moving on, I was had the pleasure of going down to Springfield twice this past 2 weeks. Once to listen to Governor Pritzker's budget address. I was invited by Speaker Welch, who's our representative here in River Forest. So I was able to sit with our neighboring mayors from Maywood and Broadview and Bellwood and others. So it was a nice time to kind of commiserate and talk about what his speech was for all of us, specifically in the for the municipality. And then I went back to Springfield to attend and participate in a press release for the Illinois Municipal League in discussing moving cities forward agenda. And I spoke on two issues which are really important to municipalities. One is the restoration of our local government distribution fund, which is a percentage of the income tax. Over the years, we've been cut to 6%. It used to be 10%. And now it's 6.16. And unfortunately, during the time of austerity, we all agreed in the municipalities to cut back and allow them to take the percentage. Now we're hearing Governor Pritzker and others say we're flush with money. So we would like the state legislature to recommit to us and restore our 10% as we had it just about 9 years ago. And I also talked about re-amortizing our pension, our fire and police pension. Right now, the law is that we have to be 100% by 2040, which is okay. But there are other pension funds in Illinois, like IRMA and others, that are 2050, 100% until you have to get to 100% by 2050. And so what we'd like is the municipalities would like that the fire and police pension has the same amortization schedule as the other state pensions. So those are the two issues that I talked on. We got a little bit of good press, so we'll see where that goes in the General Assembly. Also, in a couple minutes, we're going to congratulate Jan Dreschel on a wonderful award, the Heart of Our Village Award. So congratulations, and we'll present hopefully a wonderful proclamation saying thank you for doing what you do in our village. Unfortunately, I won't be there March 9th because I'll be out of town, but I wanted to personally say congratulations to you. So I think that's all I have on business. So we'll get to Jan Dreschel, and we've got a phenomenal. If you wouldn't mind, why don't we come to the podium and I'll. Oh, you do?
Oh.
Okay, but we have this to present, a proclamation.
Oh, I love this.
But maybe we can read a little bit so people know a little bit about who you are.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, read it.
No, I would like my granddaughters here.
Okay,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
They're
That's
of
pretty nice.
course.
Generation.
All right.
Yay.
River Forest.
Yay.
All right.
Love it.
Very good. Come on, you can take pictures up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have been named the Historical Society 2023 recipient of the Heart of the Villages because I have shown my commitment to educating both students and adults. I'll get to all of you soon. About the history of River Forest and its inhabitants through her career as an educator, volunteer for the Historical Society, and involved citizen. I want to mention something. I live on the 700 block of Bonnie Gray, and there is something in the water on that street.
It is.
That is the Lemonade Block.
Yep.
And if you want to talk about people who give back to the village, that is that group. I have served on, I have been recognized by the Illinois Association of Museums as a Lifetime Volunteer Award. I have served on the board of the Historical Society, including president twice. I'm on the hands-on history lady. I go to schools. I live on the 700 block, blah, 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 blah.
That's important. So congratulations.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you do things that you love, it's not really work. And I loved history and I loved education, so it's a combo. And why do historical societies exist? Because someday their great-grandchildren will want to know about, was there such a thing as hardware stores? Because we get everything through a special system.
Yeah.
And they will come to the Historical Society and look for information about Dressel's hardware. And they will see that there was a hardware store for 99 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
True.
that is why they exist.
Yeah.
But you know what? This was such a good education for them. You know, I was told that I'd be the first thing on the agenda, and I thought they could come and they could go.
Yeah.
They are going to learn how government
Works.
Sorry.
It's a long meeting.
Yeah.
Long hours, lots of time. Thank you, girls, for coming.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, thank you for
Maybe you can get
patience.
some credit in school for this.
Yes.
Ask your teacher.
Write him a note.
Write him a note. I will.
What I have for you, this is perfect what you said when you started the meeting.
Yeah.
This is a perfect leg. And this is going to, really, I'm going to keep it to 5 minutes, I promise.
Yeah, no worries. No, you're the honoree.
About 30 years ago, an old gentleman hobbled into the Historical Society, really old, carried in a big, big box, and he said, I want to donate these to you. I was born in Oak Park, but I lived in River Forest, and I would go around as a kid when they were ever digging in the streets or putting in new houses or whatever. I would go in and I collected these.
Oh, what are those?
And he gave us a box of about 400 of these.
Wow. Yeah, what is
What are they, you say? So I, in my stupidity, say, oh, they're Potawatomi. That was the last group of Native Americans that were here. So then I go to the Science Academy and they laugh at me. And they say, these are 9,000 years old.
Wow.
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 count these before I leave.
Can't
I
put it in
want
pocket.
you- I want you to see them.
Wow.
I want you
Look
to
at that.
feel them. I want you
Very
to
emotional.
see
It's pretty cool.
what these
Wow.
people lived in River Forest, and this is what they left for us. We know, I know they're 9,000 years old because I then took our collection of 400 or whatever to Cahokia Mounds, and the people there, the anthropologists, and they checked them and sorted them according to their ages. This is just what I brought for show and tell. This is not, the whole collection is at the Oak Park River Forest Museum. But this is what I take to schools.
Yeah.
Some are knives, some are spears. They had not invented bows and arrows yet.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so they're spears. Here's the other thing. This is the oldest thing you have ever touched that was made by another human being.
Wow.
You may touch a fossil. You can touch a rock. This was made by somebody who lived in this town. He found these in River Forest. He found these in Oak Park. Now, why am I telling you this? Because those people who lived here had children that they loved, that they wanted good educations for, that they wanted to have enough food for them, they wanted safety for them. They probably didn't worry about flooded basements, but they formed their community here, and they figured out how to live their life here. And that's what you do for us. You are our trustees, and you're figuring out, I had no idea this was gonna happen tonight. You have
We
to
didn't either.
figure out and manage how this community is gonna survive. So I thank you for your service and your time. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing that's so important. These, aren't they beautiful?
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Aren't they beautiful? These are flint. There's no flint here. There is no flint here. So you know what they did? They traded for flint with other people that had flint. Because this is the only tool you have.
Right.
So, anyway, thank you for your time.
Well, congratulations. They got the right honoree, that's for sure.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
congratulations,
Wait, before you
Jan.
pick that up.
Oh,
Yeah, oh
yes,
yeah,
I
oh,
didn't
oh,
count
oh.
them.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta count them.
That's right.
That's awesome.
That's it.
We really
Pretty
appreciate
amazing.
everything you do. I love that
Yeah.
museum. It's a great
Good.
museum.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we also have tours, we give walking tours,
Yeah.
we do all
Oh,
kinds of things.
boy, if you haven't gone there, go. It's
Oh,
unbelievable.
and here's the best part.
Mhm.
We do not use 1 cent of tax money.
Yeah, right.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
It is all donations.
Yeah.
And our building, if you go there, how many of you have been there? Just
I'm a founder.
wow. Okay, I'm glad.
I'm in the founding founder. A donation, yeah. I think I'm on a plaque.
Right.
I don't know. Sure, but I should be.
That money, it took us $1.5 million in donations.
Yeah.
There was asbestos in that building.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
you so much. Yeah. All right. Well, the next is the State of the Village presentation. It almost seems anticlimactic. So, I swear I thought everybody was here to hear me speak, but you know better now, right? I'll get up here and. Well, I'll be full disclosure that I did, do a dry run, and it's about 15 minutes. So if you have to leave, or in the middle or before, I won't be, I won't be hurt. Go ahead and leave, and even you guys. No worries. But I think it's important for us to do this because it does just give a snapshot of a lot of things that the board is doing. And some of them I think we do really, really well, and some of them, we have to revisit things. But so first, let me start. And I think we've got our, let me kind of turn this around so I can also look at all you. So, good evening, and I'd like to thank the Village Board of Trustees, the Village Clerk, John Keller, Village Attorney, Lance Molina, the Interim Village Administrator, Matt Walsh, the Police Chief, Jim O'Shea, our Fire Chief, Tom Gardner, our Public Works Director, Jeff Loster, and our Finance Director, Rosie McAdams, and all of our wonderful and dedicated employees who work tirelessly on behalf of our residents. I am honored for this opportunity to speak to you about the village accomplishments over the past year and our goals to continue our progress and success moving forward. It is because of you that we've accomplished so much this year. We balanced our budget, which I will address in more detail. We were able to pay our bills, and most of all, we are mindful of liabilities such as our pension obligations. We are grateful for our employees who currently work for us and for our retirees, and therefore we understand the need to ensure that these obligations are met. We continue to garner accolades and honors in the financial industry regarding how well and accurate our financial reporting is. We have full employment within our police and fire departments, which I will touch on later. This clearly represents the attraction that candidates have to our village and the reputation those departments have in the greater community. Our Public Works Department continues to get high marks with residents in the areas of street resurfacing, curb and sidewalk replacement and fixes, snow removal, leaf pickup, and sustainability initiatives. The department was able to negotiate a 5-year refuse contract that brought back electronic recycling day for our residents and continues to be a leader in composting. Our village administration continues to look for revenues beyond the property tax revenue we receive from our residents, and we consistently seek grants and other ways to cover our expenses. We work with state and federal representatives to ensure we apply for grants that match our work. And we collaborate with our neighbors so that we don't try to reinvent the wheel, but instead put the wheel in motion as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Economic development is perhaps the biggest area where additional revenues can be found, and we continue to work with outside developers, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Retail and Realtors Association to promote River Forest as a fine community that is a great place to work and live. Our village board is engaged, and we work collaboratively and professionally in our decision making. This has allowed us to be creative and responsive to our residents. For instance, we have created the ad hoc committees to address key issues in our community. I want to thank Trustee Vasquez for his work on the Age-Friendly Committee, which is always looking at ways to make our village more friendly to our older population so they can stay in the community that they love. Thank you to Trustee Bachner and Trustee Johnson for co-chairing the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, also known as the DEI Committee, which was established to ensure our local government is welcoming and inclusive. Lastly, I want to thank our group of dedicated volunteers who serve us on the many boards and commissions that the Village Board relies on for guidance and advice. We are grateful for each and every one of them. The Village Board and I have established 3 guiding principles for our work, policies, and decision making. These guiding principles help to calibrate our thoughts around what is important to our residents and our greater community. The principles are to provide a safe community for our residents, strengthen our property values through high level of customer service, and stabilize our property taxes through fiscal responsibility. I am proud to say that the village is creatively making progress toward each of our goals driven by these core guiding principles. Providing a safe community is the top priority for our committed, talented, and thoughtful first responders. And I want to thank our police and fire departments for their dedication. Our job as village board is to provide them with the tools to succeed. And we have accomplished this goal through the following initiatives. Street camera expansion. The village board approved the expansion of the village street camera systems, which is the second of 3-phase projects to fully cover our community. These cameras assist the police department with evidence collection, staff deployment, and crime deterrence. The department continues to explore additional technology that has the ability to amplify and fortify our crime prevention efforts. The village continues to invest in high quality equipment for the fire department. We proactively ordered an ambulance ahead of schedule to ensure we can meet the needs of our community during emergencies. The village purchased a training prop that allows our firefighters and paramedics to simulate dozens of situations without traveling to training facilities. As mentioned earlier, both the village fire and police department are fully staffed. In today's environment, many departments are struggling to retain and attract candidates. Among the many ways we work to retain our employees is through ample training opportunities. Each month, both departments report on the training efforts as part of the village board packet. Over the last 2 months, police personnel alone have completed 1,054 hours of training on topics such as breathalyzer operation, active threat response, taser certification, and evidence interviews. The fire department also maintains a heavy regimen of training from live courses with Loyola Hospital staff relating to hazardous materials and bloodborne pathogens. Our police department hosts regularly scheduled quarterly safety meetings with our residents, which are a great example of the strong engagement our first responders have with our residents. A variety of topics are discussed at these meetings, such as school, home, car, bike safety, in addition to general ways to keep our families as safe as possible. And I encourage everyone to attend these meetings either in person or by Zoom. We also work with a variety of community partners to meet the needs of our residents, especially relating to mental health. An example of one of these partnerships is with Thrive Counseling Center in Oak Park, which provides training and assistance for our police officers on calls from people in distress who are dealing with a mental health crisis. And of course, one of the recurring safety concerns that comes before the village is traffic and pedestrian safety. Of course, we've heard a lot about that tonight. And as you all know, in October, the village board approved several traffic control measures in the northeast section of the village. And I want to reiterate, a village-wide traffic study to evaluate safety concerns throughout the rest of River Forest was also approved by the board. The traffic survey is currently open to the public, and we encourage everyone, all of our residents and business owners, to participate. Please visit our website for more information. And again, I hope many of our residents are listening to this speech, if just to understand a lot of ways how they can, like as John said, how they can be engaged. Property values are about investing in our community's infrastructure and improving quality of life for all of our residents to make River Forest an attractive place to work, live, and play. The village board expedited the alley improvement program in 2022. Originally, the plan was to complete the work over a 5 to 7 year period, but the board instead committed to completing the work this year. 9 alleys were reconstructed last year with new concrete pavement and permeable pavers. There are now 5 alleys in the program left to complete, with work scheduled this spring. These new alleys are designed to reduce flooding and to be more sustainable. For several months, village staff worked to have new technology installed to improve water meter reading and services available to our residents. New antennas and water meters allow data to be collected remotely, which provides more accurate usage readings. Following the installation of the new meters, the village launched an online portal called WaterSmart that enables water customers to review their consumption and billing in real time. It's a really cool online portal. I recommend everybody seek it. So far, more than 400 residents and businesses have registered for the online portal. All residents are encouraged to sign up for the free service, and it is free by visiting our website, vrf.us/watersmart. The village board approved a study of our stormwater system, which will give us a comprehensive look at all of our sewer systems and the timeframes in which upgrades or replacements will be needed. Later this year, the board will review the completed study, which will assist us with discussions, decision-making, and opportunities to fund any portion of this type of large-scale project by the current village board and boards to follow. One of the most important goals regarding our property values, and the one that I am very proud of, is to ensure our village is managed ethically. It is imperative that our residents are assured our elected officials, commissioners, and village administration will act appropriately by prohibiting any conflicts of interest or unethical behavior. Most importantly, we have allowed through this ordinance for anyone to tell us if a conflict or something unethical exists so we can investigate. We have the best-in-class ethics ordinance, and I am so very proud of our village to be one of the first to have such an ordinance in Illinois. As mentioned earlier, we have two very important ad hoc committees, the DEI and Age-Friendly Committee, that will continue to make our community attractive to prospective residents and business owners. We are committed to ensuring that that our local government organizations values everyone and that we intentionally seek out diversity, equity, and inclusion in everything we do. We also consistently look at ways to make our community more welcoming for our aging population through better housing opportunity, access to transportation, and other adult services our community offers. Intergovernmental cooperation is so important to the viability of our community. This is why we have partnered with the Village of Maywood to develop our Twin City Covenant, with Dominican University to work with Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformational Work Framework. And I'd like to thank Trustee Brennan for her work on this initiative, and the villages of Oak Park and Forest Park to find creative ways to get that old rusty tower owned by the CTA down. We are also working with the Cook County Forest Reserves to find ways to enhance our outdoor space. Last June, I joined Oak Park Village President Vicki Skaman and Broadview Mayor Katrina Thompson to launch the Cross Community Climate Collaborative, or C4 as we call it. C4 is designed to bring together BIPOC and non-minority communities across income lines to share ideas, secure resources, and drive large-scale projects within and across communities who have agreed upon greenhouse gas emissions reductions, equity, and sustainability goals. 15 communities have signed on with the group since it was formed. And last month, C4 was awarded $125,000, a grant from the American Beverage Foundation. And last, another example is the continued work toward reconstructing the Harlem Avenue Viaduct. This has long been a target for River Forest and our neighbors, Forest Park and Oak Park. The village has joined with other partners to apply for a construction grant to help cover the costs for future work. The village board adopted two ordinances that were recommended by the village's Sustainability Commission. The first requires restaurants and food service establishments to only hand out single-use foodware upon request, which helps to reduce waste that ends up in the landfills. River Forest joined the city of Chicago as the only area community to implement a similar ordinance. The village also received the Soul Smart Silver designation from the U.S. Department of Energy due to our new ordinance that permits rooftop solar panels in all zoning districts. River Forest is one of only 14 Illinois communities that have received this designation. I want to thank Trustee Gillis for her work on the Sustainability Commission. One area that affects our property values is how financially stable our government is. I'm happy to report that for the last 15 years, the general fund budget has been balanced. Much time, energy, and commitment are spent by both the elected officials and village staff to provide a comprehensive budget document and plan. The budget is adopted by the village board in April of each year, and it is the official financial plan for the different departments. Another area that affects our property values is our ability to borrow when we need to. On March 15, 2022, Moody's Investors Services assigned an initial AA2 rating to the village. This is the third highest long-term credit rating that is assigned when issuing fixed income securities, like bonds, that are of high quality with very low credit risk. The bond rating is based on factors such as our location in the Chicago metro area, our financial reserves, which are very healthy, and our conservative financial management and continued revenue growth strategy. To cover the cost of these investments, the village needs to maintain and grow revenue streams. As village president, I resist the idea of increasing your property taxes. This is why economic development has been one of our other primary areas of focus. And I want to thank Trustee O'Connell for his work on the Economic Development Commission. Due to the village being landlocked, there are limited opportunities for development, which is why it is so important to plan for the future. The village has hired the planning firm Housing and Levine to collaborate with our Economic Development Commission on zoning code recommendations and to focus on the North Avenue and Madison Street corridors. One economic opportunity site is the village-owned property at Madison Street in Ashland. After years of marketing the vacant office building for reuse, we have made the decision to demolish the property and this work is progressing as we speak. And of course, we've heard from the residents today. We will ensure that this is done properly. This site is more than an acre and located in our TIF district. We hope to attract a development that provides services or retail for our residents that also generates tax revenue for the village. Our other TIF district is located along North Avenue. We are partnering with the Village of Elmwood Park to design streetscape improvements along that corridor to make it a more appealing and safer place to do business. These improvements will be an extension of the work already completed east of Harlem Avenue. The village has continued to have success in lobbying for grant funding from the state of Illinois and other organizations, including a $90,000 Green Infrastructure Partnership Grant for alley reconstruction from the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, a $245,000 Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Grant for Phase 1 engineering of the Harlem Avenue Bridge, a $350,000 Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Grant for the Madison Street demolition. And from the Rebuild Illinois grant, we have $736,278 yet to spend on additional infrastructure projects by the summer of 2025. The village continues to make grant applications a priority, as evidenced by the recent agreement with the villages of Oak Park and Forest Park to apply for a raised grant to fund the reconstruction of the Harlem Avenue Bridge. You know, communication and transparency are very important to our village board, and we try very hard to make sure that we communicate with our residents. And we use every vehicle to do so. Therefore, we try to cover much of this information through our weekly and monthly newsletters, which you can sign up to receive it if you haven't already at vrf.us and click Get News and Alerts. We also use social media outlets like Nextdoor and Instagram and Facebook. And of course, we constantly and consistently update our website. So if anybody has any issues or wants to know where the meetings are and when they're at, our website is up to date. And I encourage every resident, if they can, to visit our website or come into Village Hall. If you don't have a computer or internet, come into Village Hall and talk to one of our great staffs. They will help you get the information you need. All the accomplishments and projects I have mentioned tonight are in no way exhaustive. To accomplish our ongoing goals, which are guided by our principles of providing a safe community, strengthening our property values, and stabilizing our property taxes, it takes a multi-pronged approach, steadiness, and leadership from our village board and staff. Therefore, I'd like again to thank my fellow village board members, Katie Brennan, Erica Bachner, Bob O'Connell, Lisa Gillis, Ken Johnson, Rez Vasquez, along with Clerk John Keller, and all the volunteer committee members and our village staff for their hard work and commitment to the village of River Forest. Thank you again. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go on to our business at hand, which is our consent agenda. So if I can get a motion to approve consent agenda items A through G.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through G.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments on these agenda items? Consent, none, hearing none, I'd ask the clerk to read and then take the vote.
Excuse me. Consent agenda item A, Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, February 13th, 2023. B, Village Board of Trustee meeting minutes, February 13th, 2023. C, Fire Department annual report. D, Administration Department report. E, approval of a payment in the amount of $24,273.08 to Springbrook Holding Company, LLC, for annual maintenance for the period of May 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2024. Purchase agreement with Quad Bridge for a Datto backup appliance and annual license cost for the total cost not to exceed $32,672.16. Appointment of Trish Vanasek as primary delegate for the IRMA resolution. Trustee Vasquez.
Yes.
Trustee Gillis.
Yes.
Trustee Bachner.
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell?
Okay. No.
Bob?
I think he might have logged off.
Yeah.
He logged off.
Did he? Can you tell?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
He took you seriously.
Yeah, he did. He left.
Should I abstain?
Yeah, he just know.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, not here.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
All right, very good. Okay, I think that's it for the evening, and there's no executive session, so all we need is a motion to adjourn. And a
Kathy,
second.
before we do, I would like a point of privilege maybe. At this point, I just want to, first of all, the State of Village address that you provided, I want to thank you for that. But I do want to supplement a little bit. There was one little detail you left out. First of all, I want to acknowledge the fact that you acknowledged each of us and our efforts, as well as the village staff. But the one person you left out was yourself, and I'm sure it was based on modesty. I mean, you are integral as part of this village board as well, and I wanted people to know that that you've been putting in a lot of work, and not necessarily just for the village. I mean, on behalf of the village, when you go out for the state Springfield events, other IMFL events, etc. You've been pretty much working day in, day out for not just this year, but since you've been the village president, as well as when you had other activities. So with that, I just want to acknowledge and thank you for all of your time that you put in too. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Brad. Okay. We have a second? We have a
motion.
motion? Okay. A motion to adjourn?
Do we have a motion?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Great. Super. All right.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez?
Yes.
Trustee Gillis?
Yes.
Trustee Bachner?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell?
He's out.
Meeting adjourned.
All right. Very good.
Majority.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good job. Nice speech. Yeah. Can I just computer? Remember we talked about giving me a ticket or something? I can't get on.